Very warm welcome, everybody, to the School of Modern Languages and Cultures, and also to all of our participants. Welcome you Information Day 2020.
And vote. And as head of school, it is my great pleasure to give you a brief overview of what we do here in the school and what we offer for you. I'm joined here by a number of my friends and colleagues. We have Yoshiko Nakano.
Hello.
Yoshiko Nakano leads our Japanese studies program. She's from Japan and she's an anthropologist by training.
Konnichiwa.
We have Barbara Fernandez Mejeda, who leads our Latin American program. Barbara is from Chile. Her area of specialization is Ibero-American literature and poetry, and also cultural studies. And then we have Sylvain Oltermann, who leads our French program. He's from France, and his expertise is in foreign language acquisition and teaching French as a second language, particularly in a Chinese context. So he's been in Hong Kong and China for a number of decades.
Yeah, almost 30 years.
So I also want to encourage you to ask questions through the chat that is available. And also, please feel free at the end of our forum to raise questions or concerns you have. And also, we'll be joined later on at around 1:45 by current students in two of our major programs to give you a little bit of a glimpse of what student life is like and what to expect and what experiences students have here in our school. So as you can see, we are a very diverse school, both culturally and intellectually. I mean, this is interesting. You can see this even in our own biographies. We all have worked, we all come from different disciplinary backgrounds. We've worked and lived in different countries and sort of before coming to Hong Kong. And this is something that is actually quite unique. In fact, I would say that this really sets us apart from almost every other department at the university. We are significantly more diverse in terms of the cultural composition of our teachers, professors, but also the student body and also the research areas we cover than most other departments. In fact, I would say probably than all other departments. And what is also interesting is that it's like that we are by definition an interdisciplinary school. So unlike most other units, we just don't focus on one thing, but we actually have really embraced interdisciplinarity. That's really the hallmark of what we do. And that's something that we would also want to discuss a little bit later of what that actually looks like. So what we do and what our aim really is to study and to make sense of the world beyond Hong Kong. That's really the main message of what we do. And of course, we also study how Hong Kong, as a leading global city and a big financial center, it sort of connects to other parts of the world through networks of trade and commerce, but cultural linkages, migration, exchanges of any sort of form. So it's also interesting for us to see how are we embedded in these wider networks. And this is particularly interesting to our students because many find later on after they graduate from our major programs that they find opportunities to work in multinational companies, or many of them actually go overseas and take advantage of the opportunity the world beyond Hong Kong has to offer. Generally speaking, we have our programs are divided into sort of two big categories. On the one hand, we have area studies programs and majors. Those have concentrations on Africa, America, the United States in particular, Europe, Japan, Korea, and Latin America. And then in addition to that, we have languages. And here we have 11 languages that we offer. And some of them are big global languages. Some are languages that are so for instance, like French or Spanish. These are big global languages. Arabic. Then there are other languages that are very important for us here in Hong Kong, like Japanese or Korean. So, and then we offer languages that are smaller, which are also very interesting. So we have Portuguese and we have Italian and Spanish and Thai and Swedish. So, so there's a really a very rich diversity of Russian we offer, of what we offer. And this is something that really you can take your own interest and your own curiosity and sort of, work through that passion of yours to learn more about these different parts of the world. And what is great for you as incoming students is really this kind of winning combination of marrying together language and area studies. So being proficient in a language, confident to talk in a different context, but also knowing about a different region, a different country, a different culture. So you will become proficient and conversant in a language of your choice. And, Sylvain can maybe share a little bit about later about like to what kind of level we get people in our language, what do we expect, and where can our graduates sort of see themselves in 3 years time and 4 years time. But you will also become an expert on another part in the world. And this really involves learning about its past and present, its economy, its culture, its literature, its traumas, and its achievements. And as you can see, this is really quite a holistic and comprehensive undertaking of how we approach other societies. So our majors really prepare you to function effectively in a global and interdependent world, in different cultural and linguistic contexts, and in combination with people from other cultures. And I think we've seen it all in our different programs that like it is remarkable to see where our students and graduates end up with, so many of them actually end up working overseas in multinational companies in contexts that are, culturally very, 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 very different from what we're used to here in Hong Kong. So we want you really to thrive in this global setting and to be able to take advantage of the opportunities the world has to offer. And this leads to really interesting jobs and opportunities for you also after you graduate from Hong Kong U. So this in a nutshell is really what we do. But now to explain a little bit more about what this actually entails in detail, I would like to begin by asking Sylvain about maybe a provocative language. So why is it actually important to study a foreign language in this day and age? And why is English not enough?
Well, thank you, Roland. You stress the importance of learning a language enough, but of course, it gives you the ability to communicate and to connect with people from different culture and region of the world. It's also a tool. It's more than a functional tool. It's also a key to open the door to cultural richness and diversity. And in that sense, we often say that learning a language will broaden your horizon, and that is very true, and enable you to see the world from a different perspective. So today we live in a globalized world where English is the main language of communication in many parts of the world. And many of us will think that is enough. We can just go around and knowing English will be enough to work and to live. If you look at very globalized places like Hong Kong, like Singapore, or other big cities like that, you realize that that is not true. If you just know English, then you don't go very far. You are limiting yourself a lot. And this is also true in terms of career. We know by experience that companies take a lot of interest with people who know a third language, a foreign language, in addition to English. If you learn a language, it's also, in terms of career, it will enable you to develop an international career much more easily than if you don't. So English is great, but I would say it's just the basic expectation in today's world. And if you add a foreign language to that, then you give yourself an extra chance, you give yourself an edge. Now, also language is also very important because it's not only a great asset for your career, but you will gain a deeper understanding of people and culture. And we realize that people who learn languages are usually less prone to cultural bias and prejudice, and they often show greater empathy to others as well. So those are the main reason. You want to study a language for your future career. You want to study a language for your own culture, to develop yourself, to construct yourself. And here in the SMLC, of course, language teaching, as you say, is a big part of what we do. We offer 11 languages. I will try not to forget some of them because 11, that's quite consequent. So as you say, we have Arabic, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Swedish, and Thai. So some languages that are used worldwide and some that are more localized. These languages here are taught by highly trained specialists. Many of the teachers are native speakers, and our programs give students the option to major or minor in the language. And what's important is that we train students to become proficient in the language to a level that we often call the independent user level. That means a level where they can function fully and independently, and it's usually the level that will allow students to pursue their studies abroad in the target language that they have studied here. And we also offer language courses that are not only focusing on language, but that also focus on culture, literature, films, current affair. And those courses are taught in the target language. So that gives students extra exposure to the language they are learning. We have also developed many experiential learning opportunities for our students, because if we want our students to be able to integrate the workplace and function in another language, it's also important to give them opportunities for internship and so on. Every year, basically, we take over 1,000 students, and they embark on this journey with us of discovering and learning languages. And for them, we also see that the choice of studying a language has a very strong impact on both their professional and personal life. We have students, as you said, who are doing master or even PhDs in the target language in universities abroad. We have students who are working in foreign companies, either in Hong Kong or in Japan or in elsewhere in Asia or in Europe. And we also have students who going to settle abroad and start family in France or in Germany.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's quite amazing. So it's really diverse, but it's very efficient. We can really measure the efficiency of what we do like this. And just to finish with languages, I'd like to give students or future students a few tips for studying languages at the SMLC. The first thing I would say is to start early, because learning a language is a long-term investment. So you really want to start in your first year or maybe second year, but it's always better to start early for that, so that you can be sure to reach a level where you become independent. The second thing is to consider other languages. As you said, some languages are very popular and might be difficult to be admitted to get in. And some languages are less often studied, and it's not only it's easier for you to get in those programs, but in a way it will make you more special. You know, there are less people in Hong Kong who can speak Swedish than French. So you will have an extra edge for that. Yeah. And the final tip I want to give is that you don't want to study a language alone. It doesn't really make sense. You want to study language to complement another major that you do. So studying a language alone offers a limited option, but if you combine it with something else, then it's going to greatly deepen it's going to give you an extra edge. It's going to make you much more, I don't want to say employable, but that's a bit the key. And of course, the combination is really greatly depends on what you're interested in and how you plan your future, how you foresee your future.
But I think almost all of our students nowadays double major. I think that is one of
Yes.
the, this really winning combination. that we
The
see in
vast
lots
majority of students double major. There are some very interesting combination, and we do have students who study maybe 2 languages, but usually they really have a good reason for that. Either they want to become language teachers or they want to become translators, and yeah, so they do have a purpose for that.
But we usually do not encourage 2 languages,
No.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, we would like you to learn 1 language mostly, and then maybe major in another thing. And I think since it's a lot of investment in terms of time and commitment, and therefore we usually encourage students to do 1 big language, 1 language, and combine it with something else.
And there's really like a lot of choices, because as an interdisciplinary unit, there's almost
Right.
Absolutely.
almost the entire range of possibilities that you can that is open to new students. I wanted to ask Barbara, what can we gain sort of from an area studies perspective? What is sort of unique about this, and why is it necessary to understand other cultures? What do we what do we learn from that?
Okay, well, first, we're in the School of Modern Languages and Culture, so culture is a central element of what we do. Here we offer programs on areas, that means areas of the world that are being explored, and these are Africa, the Americas, Europe, Japan, Korea, and Greater China. So almost all over the world is being covered. Going back to what Sylvain said, it would be good to consider also to mix area studies and languages. I mean, what you learn, for example, about the Americas could be better understood if you have a knowledge of Spanish, Portuguese, or French, if you're interested in some areas of the Caribbean, for example. Here at Hong Kong USMLC, you will find an interdisciplinary unit of teaching with professors trained in the best universities in the world, who also produce world-leading research in their particular fields of expertise. So you will learn, this is through the medium of English, about these areas' cultures in depth. It's not superficial. So what you learn about, for example, Latin America, is not only through watching a film, but to study the film and to know what is being depicted in that film. And when a student would like to visit that particular area of the world, using the language that they've also learned here, they are able to connect with the society at a deeper level. Also, we learn how diverse human societies are. Also, going back to the idea of empathy, and also being more open to others and to exchange with them. But I think the most important part of what we do as area studies is that we encourage students to develop critical approaches to the challenges of the 21st century. So our studies are very up to date. We consider the past because that's shaped our present, but we are very much concerned about the way the future will take place. At the same time, as we say that it's an interdisciplinary unit of teaching, we have people doing history, economics, politics, literature, and so on, anthropology, etc. So we have a varied unit that will make you understand an area very, very fully. So I think the important point here is that the academics you'll find here are experts in their field. So what you're going to learn is also something that will prepare you for the workplace. If you want to pursue an academic career, you can be accepted at the best universities in the world. If you want to go into industry, you can also combine your knowledge of these cultures to, I don't know, a negotiating table.
Right now.
You could work in the United Nations. You can understand a discussion about what's going on in a given area of the world. And you can get that through area studies. So I think that's something that is important to bear in mind.
I think this holistic worldview that you gain is, I think, very important. And also this question of empathy. I mean, like we're all, it's I think in the 21st century, it's becoming much more common for people to work outside the country of where they were born and operate in a different culture and with people from different areas. And, like the more skilled we are at that, I think the better and easier it also becomes to be globally mobile, to look for opportunities somewhere else, to also see our own societies in a different light of where we come from, I think.
Yes, that what brings us here.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah, we're
ourselves.
all
And also
products of
just
that.
to give you one last thing about languages, we all need to learn languages. It's not only for you that you are thinking about learning a language. I am currently learning Portuguese because it's become essential to develop my academic career.
Yes.
So what Sylvain said about it is absolutely relevant for all of us.
Yes, that's true. And it's sort of, it never stops also, you know.
Exactly.
It's like, it's also this, you know, lifelong learning is something
Yes.
that
I'm
really
still
keeps
learning.
going on.
Yes, we're always students in that sense.
I wanted to ask Josko
Yeah.
for, you know, we have a very unique global footprint here at the school, and we also have some very exciting programs that our students can take part of. Can you share a little bit more about like what these unique opportunities are and how do they help them to become effective global citizens?
Thank you. We think that it's absolutely important that you are able to function in a particular cultural setting. I mean, not just, you know, blabbing on and speaking fluently in one language, or not just understanding something, but not being able to, you know, put that into practice in a particular context. And so at School of Modern Languages and Cultures, many of us believe that teaching and learning do not have to be confined to the classroom. So we offer numerous opportunities for learning off campus, and which is, you know, basically you will be able to earn some of your credits by doing some internship programs, for example, or overseas exchanges, or you will be able to do summer courses or field trips. And that's what we offer here at SMLC School of Modern Languages and Cultures. Our students in Japanese studies, for example, have opportunities to join internship programs at prestigious Japanese organizations in Hong Kong. For example, Japan Airlines, one of the biggest airlines in Japan, has been offering us internship for students for like 18 years consecutively. I mean, they experience 5-6 weeks of rotating in different posts, making announcements at the gate, or like, you know, working with the marketing department. It's a really comprehensive program. We also have a program with Bank of Mitsubishi UFJ, the biggest bank in Japan. They have their branch here, and there are more than 1,000 people working in central building. And we have also maintained internship for the last 17, 18 years with them. And through that internship program, one of our a graduate is now working in the Tokyo headquarters, making some strategies for China business. And she's doing extremely well. And she's not a business student, she's an arts graduate. And I was just at Mitsui & Co. earlier this week, which is one of the three major conglomerate and trading companies in Japan. And I was visiting the managing director, and he called two of our graduates into the office saying that, you know, look, these are your students, and they've been talking about you, and they're doing extremely well. One is in the metal section of the company, the other is in another healthcare section of the company, and they're doing extremely well. One of them, the graduate who is working in the metal section, did an internship with Mitsui, I think 2 years ago, and now is fully employed. Right. And so, you know, these internship opportunities are a wonderful way of being able to function in a context. And that is also important for your career planning.
Yeah, you wouldn't get them unless you speak Japanese.
Right.
You know, that's also, so it's
right.
like that, you know, this is exactly, I think, also the point that is like, you know, unless you have the key to that language, you won't be able to operate as, you know, as integratedly in a Japanese company. So I think this is really also where it shows that the direct utility of learning a language and knowing about, you know, Japan to be later to function in that kind of environment.
You might think that you have to be a business school graduate to be able to join these companies, and it's not that. I mean, even in banking or trading, that you usually conventionally think of them as, you know, like you need to have business background. If you have the language and solid understanding of the culture, you will be able to to contribute greatly and lead some of the sections. So one other thing I would like to add is the exchange opportunities that we offer at Hong Kong University. For example, with Japanese studies, at Hong Kong U offers exchange opportunities at more than 20 universities in Japan, including Tokyo University, Kyoto University, Keio, Waseda, you name it. We have great partners. And through these, and we would like you to go for 1 year on an exchange if you can. And you might choose to do half a year, I mean, like a semester. These are two options. You could go for one entire year or a semester. We would like you to go. We would like all of you who are going to be studying in SMLC to seriously consider like studying abroad during your 4 years at SMLC. I mean, like it's better to do that during your 3rd year. That's what we recommend.
And my students always say that was the best year of their
Yes,
time in Hong Kong. It
yes.
was when they went on exchange and they
Yes.
come back full of
Right.
energy and new
Yes.
ideas and new
Right.
perspectives and whatnot.
Right.
It's always really interesting and with much better language also, because
Right.
then they have had
Exactly.
real immersion experience.
Right.
And then some of them write, their final year thesis
Yes.
in Japanese or in
Right.
Italian or Spanish or French or something. It is really remarkable to see that.
So through all these first-hand experiences, we would like you to develop a global perspective.
Can we see whether our student is online at the moment? If Jason is joining us, please, if you might turn on your microphone and your camera so you can.
Hello.
There you are.
Hi, Jason.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Can you share to our prospective new incoming students a little bit of what it's like to study at the School of Modern Languages and Cultures?
Okay, of course. So I'm currently taking 2 majors. So I'm taking French and Spanish. So there's a really specific reason why I picked 2 languages. So actually in the future, I would like to be a translator or language teacher like Silvan has said. And I think in order to be able to switch languages and think in multiple ways, we need to hone that skills by learning maybe more languages from my perspective. So, and I think learning French and Spanish in Hong Kong, you really give me a real training, a workout for my brain to be able to think in multiple languages. So even though at times there may be some confusion, like for every language learners out there, with the training given by Hong Kong U and also the work done outside of Hong Kong U, maybe assignments, some studying revisions, you will eventually get better at it. And so this is why I really enjoy learning languages. And another reason why I really like studying languages at Hong Kong U is because I really like the format of teaching. So in a lot of other classes in Hong Kong U is mostly about the lecturer talking to you and you just listen. But in language courses, you really need to speak to your classmates or your lecturers, and it requires your input. So it's really fresh to me, and I really enjoy this form of learning. It's much more interactive. And so, and the final reason why I chose languages is because of interest. So 4 years in university is quite a long time. And so if you study something that you really don't enjoy, then it will be very rough for you. So
what got you interested first when you first started to, think back a few years ago when you were coming to the information day, what got you interested in languages?
Well, it's more about my ability. So prior to university, my best subject at school is English. So I thought maybe let's give languages a go. Maybe it's my thing. So yeah. So in my first year, I took language courses, also other language courses in other schools. So, and eventually in my second year, I finally settled with Spanish and French. Yeah.
Great. And how about like one of the feedback I also always get from students is that it's like they find that they make the best friendships in language courses because they actually spend a lot more time together in some sort of like class unit than it's common in other, you know, when you just take seminars and lectures throughout the university. That is really like this kind of bonding. Have you had this kind of experience as well?
Yeah, exactly. So actually, I made friends from like all over the globe. So in French class, we have students from Central Asia, and I also know someone from Indonesia, also locals as well. And we really bond because of languages, and we shared a common interest and love for languages. So this kind of friendship is really hard to find in Hong Kong. In like other classes because you really don't have that chance to really discuss in every lesson. Yeah.
I wanted to ask whether there's any questions from our participants, either to Jason or to us. If there's any questions, please feel free to use the chat or the, you know, just also you may switch on your camera and your microphone. Which year are you in now, Jason?
Oh, I'm in my third year.
Third year.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So, and what is the plan for the future?
Well, I wish I could go on exchange, but like the plans changed a lot. So I don't think I can make it within these 4 years in university, but I hope that I can maybe go on a trip or a long stay in a foreign country to not only just to train myself, but also discover something new, because I've been in Hong Kong for my entire life. So I think with the language that I've learned at Hong Kong U, I can really go on an adventure. Yeah.
That's actually a point that I think we still need to raise, is that many of our programs actually offer some really interesting field trips. So my own program, European Studies, always basically the second years, they have to go to Europe. In American studies, they have this. In Japanese studies, they have field trips. So this is also like a great opportunity where usually it happens sort of in the second year, the summer of the second year. And of course, Jason, you were very unfortunate that your time at university coincided with the COVID pandemic. Let me see. I see a question here from one of our participants. If I want to apply for a double major in 2 languages, is it better to choose one European language and one Asian language to study? Interesting case.
Well, as we say, it's not something that we recommend unless you have a very specific reason to do so. Now, Jason, you're an example of that. And probably if you want to become a translator, you know, you will still need to study the French and Spanish for many years, plus maybe attend a specialized training school for interpreters, if live interpretation is your thing. It's really, you need to think very carefully on why you would want to double major with 2 languages. It's probably better, unless you have a clear plan, to double major with 1 language and something else.
Yeah, the most common combinations is usually a language and an area studies, or even some programs from beyond the School of Modern Languages and Cultures. So sometimes many of our students take history or comparative literature or arts or finance or medicine or law, you know, so there's many different options that are available. Sociology is quite a few, in journalism.
And when you talk to students, very often they have a plan. We have students who are taking architecture and Swedish, for instance, because it makes sense, you know, or
German and engineering.
Yeah, it's a bit cliche, but it makes sense. And medicine, we also have students taking French because they want to work in Africa in organization like this, so Médecins Sans Frontières and so on. So you need to think carefully about the combination, and that really depends on how you foresee your future.
But luckily, Hong Kong University offers in arts faculty, the first year is the year of exploration. And so you are not going to be declaring your major or a double major or a major and minor or the major and two minors, which I don't recommend. I would stick to one major, like two majors or major and minor, but you do not have to declare that until your second year. Like when you start your second year, you need to know. But since you have the first year, you can take different classes and then think about what you are interested in and whether really you are interested in them, and then go on to do other things.
May I ask whether there's any more questions?
Can I pick Jason's brain a bit?
Yes, please.
Hola, Jason. Yo soy hablante nativa de español, soy chilena, but I'm not going to ask you things in Spanish. I just wanted to say hola. Since you're studying two languages, which are both Romance languages, Spanish and French, I want to ask you whether you prefer one or the other. It's just a personal question. And the other, which are the main differences you find between the both? Thank you.
I'm actually in one of Silvan class, so it's a bit awkward to ask.
So you can speak freely.
It really depends. I would say I love them equally. I know it's a bit official answer.
You're being diplomatic.
I really like French culture. I really like the history behind French culture. And what interests me about Spanish is how diverse it is. So, in Argentina, in Mexico, in España, there are all different types of Spanish. It's a bit different. So I really like Spanish because of the linguistic features in it. And I like French for the culture. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot your second question. Will you mind repeating?
In your process of learning both languages, since they're both Romance languages, what are the main differences you see in them?
So I think there are obviously a lot of similarities, and it helped me to learn the other in terms of the grammar. And the most different thing would be the way of expressing yourself. So, in every languages, there are words like, oh, cool, thanks, these kind of words, very well, something. So those are the most interesting thing about this learning two languages is you need to adjust slightly in different contexts. You cannot just directly translate it. And because sometimes it doesn't work. So learning these filler words is like the most different thing. And also they may seem very simple, but actually they are very challenging when you have to adopt it in different contexts.
Because many also involve cultural references.
Exactly.
This is like where again, like, the cultural expertise and the language sort of come together, to formulate those expressions. All right, we've come to the end of our SMLC forum. Jason, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck with your last year of study.
Thank you.
And then thank you all for being here, and to our participants for, so if there's any other questions our participants have, please feel free to reach out to our different programs through our website and our, through our online presence. And then, we'll be able to take care and answer your queries and questions. So thank you all very much, and we hope to see you at Hong Kong U.
Gracias.
Bye. Ciao.
ありがとうございました。
Wiedersehen.